Hey, welcome to automated caption translation and note-taking of remote learning sessions hosted by the network of Assistive Technologists. Just before we start, a couple housekeeping tips is that captioning is going to be available today as part of today's presentation, and our presenters will go over that in a moment. And add your questions to the chat, and there will be a question and answer at the end as well, and the replay link will be available shortly after the event. So I'd like to welcome today Karen Anderson, who is the Director of Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss, and she provides information and resources to educators and parents online. And she's a writer of popular checklists, books, and free newsletters, and she supports success through streamer automated captioning and accommodations in educational settings. So welcome, Karen. And Robert Palmquist. He's known to be popular on live interviews across many examples, such as Fox and Friends and NPR's All Things Considered. He's the CEO of SpeechGear, the firm that develops communication products, including the streamer captioning technology that we're going to be also looking at today. And he's also affiliated with Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss and supporting students who are deaf and hard of hearing. So I'd like to welcome both Karen and Robert to the show today, and I'm just going to transfer the sharing over to you guys.
Hey, Robert Palmquist here. I am going to share a screen here so you can see some live captioning. Let's see what we can get going here. Let me do some resizing here. So as the times have it, last night I put together some nice PowerPoint slides for you and forgot to save them in the PowerPoint format, but I did create a PDF version of that. So at least we got something going for us here. So what you're seeing at the bottom here is some captioning, and let me turn it over to Karen and let her take it away.
Thanks so much, Rob. We'll get have you passed over to me yet? Not quite yet. Well, let me get going. Again, thanks so much for the nice introduction, Doug. I am really pleased to be here along with Rob Palmquist to talk about streamer captioning. And captioning's been around for 61 years, and it was first used with persons who are deaf. And today we can go to almost any TV show and see captioning, and we can see a lot of captions on any of our internet videos. And we know that captions help those who are deaf or hard of hearing to follow the dialogue for better understanding, but they also help everybody to focus more when there's some challenges with communication. So captioning really is a benefit beyond just for persons who are deaf or hard of hearing. Let's see if I can advance the slide. There we go. For persons who are deaf or hard of hearing, no technology that we have today restores normal hearing, whether it's the most expensive hearing assistance technology or hearing aids. They just don't restore normal hearing. That means these people have to expend a lot more energy to listen, especially in a classroom situation. And this leaves them with fewer cognitive resources to really comprehend what was said, much less remember it. And continually missing information impacts vocabulary growth, and often we see increasing gaps in academic achievement over time for persons who are hard of hearing or deaf. When you have a hard of hearing student, they typically watch the speaker. And when they feel like they've missed something, if there's captions, they glance down, look at the captions, see, oh yeah, I missed that part, and then they pop their eyes back up. In this way, the captioning can be a secondary accommodation, along with whatever hearing assistance technology is being used by that person. The captioning would then be the secondary accommodation to that amplification primary accommodation. And they both work together to then level the playing field, which is required by the U.S. Americans with Disabilities Act, to provide more effective communication. And of course, captioning can also be used as a primary accommodation. But one of the three main principles of universal design is to offer information in more than one format to give all students a chance to access the material as best suits their own learning strengths. And multiple research studies have informed us that using captions can improve literacy and reading skills of students throughout their school experience, because captions can help establish a systematic link between the written word and the spoken word. They've been related to higher comprehension skills and retention of meaning, and they also provide missing information for persons who have difficulty processing speech no matter what the reason. And finally, they can provide not only reading practice, but more motivation to read. Real-time captions don't have to be provided by a person. They can be provided by an automated speech-to-text software program. And when you see errors for automated speech-to-text, they are typically caused when a speaker does not clearly pronounce a word, and this causes a translation error. Leaving off sounds or mispronouncing words causes that inaccuracy and those inaccuracies. And then the translation algorithm used by the automated captioning programs definitely can influence the accuracy of the context used in understanding what was said. In a school setting, the consistency of the accuracy is going to depend on how well the teacher and the other speakers use the microphone, and also their clarity of speech. As you can imagine, being assistive technology specialists, the clearer the signal going in, the more accurate the transcription coming out. As we have entered a whole new era of online learning, we're seeing an increased requirement for captioning, whether it be open captions for everybody or closed captions just for those persons who definitely want to use it. And this has brought up concerns about security, about accuracy, and about user friendliness of the various speech-to-text programs that are available. Streamer, which is what you're seeing at the bottom of the screen, can provide captioning in face-to-face communication environments. We do this all of the time. Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss, which is my company, stands behind Streamer because we feel it is a very appropriate accommodation for at least some learners who are hard of hearing and some who are deaf. But Streamer can also provide open captioning, just like you're seeing here, and closed captioning for remote learning situations. And that really is going to be the focus of today's talks, and a perfect opportunity for me to turn it over to Rob Palmquist, who's going to show us more, tell us more, and you're all going to leave here feeling much more informed about Streamer and ready to get going with your own trial. So thanks, Rob. Take it away.
Well, thanks, Karen. Yeah, appreciate that. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. I'm going to make this screen a little bit larger, I mean. Sorry about that. But I hope everybody's having a good day today. Thanks, N.O.A.T, for putting this all together for us. Definitely appreciate you doing that. And thanks, everybody, again, for joining us. So what you're seeing here, again, is Streamer. And over on the left here, you can see the name of who is speaking along with a picture. So there's a picture of me. And for example, if Karen should jump in right now and start talking, we'll hear Karen's speech as well.
Hello, I'm here too.
There we go. And so yes, with Streamer, you have the ability to simultaneously caption multiple speakers at the same time, and everything is going to be displayed to you. And yes, we can talk at the same time, and everything is going to be displayed. There is no person typing in the background here or anything like that. This is automated captioning that is being generated simply as I speak. Let's start at the end. So the way you would use this, once you've configured your system, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of Streamer here for just a second here, so the caption will be back in a moment. But what I'm going to do is exit out of it, and I'll show you what it'll take you in order to use Streamer to caption your events. So if I close out of the window here up in the upper right corner, what I have is a desktop icon here called Interact Streamer. When I click on that, it puts me directly in my room. And now everything that I'm saying is being captioned. So that's all it takes to start captioning for your Zoom webinar or your Skype call or a regular phone call. Whatever it might be, all you need to do once you've configured everything is double click on that desktop icon, and everything that you're saying then is going to be captioned. So it's that simple. There is a bit of work here in configuring the system because we take security very seriously. Privacy and security, data retention, all those elements we take very seriously. And so by default, nobody can access your transcripts. Nobody can see it. And you need to manually give them permission in order to have access to those. And so again, there's going to be some setup time here to get everything working for you. But once you've done that, all you do is double click on the icon and everything is captioned. So spend a little bit of investment time up front, and from then on just double click and you're all set to go. I'm going to show you some features here. Let's see, I have a picture window here that I'm going to scroll over to the side. So for starters, for example, if I want to increase the font size here, I can do that. Make it as small or as large as I want. It's probably a little bit too big, but certainly that's a nice little feature for students to be able to customize it. I'm going to make the window just a little bit bigger here. And some various other elements that I'll show you as we get going. For example, I have the ability to share documents with my participants. I'll just click on that and then go ahead and send. And when I do that, then that gets shared with everybody in my room. So some very simple sort of steps here. Let me resize some of the screen here, get back to some of the slides, and we'll step through some more of the features that we want to cover here during this time that we have together. All right, so first off, as we've said earlier, Streamer is not an app. It is not something that you need to download and install. That's difficult for students or whoever is participating in your live stream sessions, be it coworkers or whatever it might be, to force them, if you will, to download and install an app just leads to all sorts of issues. And we want to make your life easy, not more difficult. And so what we've created here is just a website that your school or your agency or your firm or your church, whatever it might be, owns that website. Creating one, I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Very simple to do that. Once you've set that up, then the participants will use that site to view the captioning. They can view it in whatever language they want. We currently support a little over 120 different languages. And they can use it to take notes. And so I'll show you that capability as well here in a few moments. Let me jump down here. Again, emphasize this one just one more time here, I guess. Everything that we're doing is very much private and secure. So if you're using this in a hospital setting or a school setting or whatever it might be, you do not need to be concerned that somebody is listening in on that data or able to record it or sell it to third-party firms or anything like that. If you're using a free and open system, for example, Microsoft or Google or something like that, when you agree to their terms, you are agreeing to let them take that data and use it however they want, including potentially selling it to somebody else. In this case, with Streamer, it is very much private and secure and locked down. Initially developed in partnership with the Marine Corps because they needed something that was very much private and secure. So on day 0, when we built up this architecture, we made sure it was private and secure. Because it's a website, it works with pretty much every application. I mentioned that already, but whatever you are using to do your connections, be it Zoom or Adobe or Ring Central phone calls, whatever it might be, this is going to work in parallel with those applications. The same approach is going to work fine with absolutely every application that you're using. And again, because it's a website, it runs on basically everything. And it'll run just as happily on a $39 Kindle as it will on a $3,000 laptop. There's no concern here in terms of the price point of your computing device. Absolutely none. So you can use this one captioning system anytime on any platform with anyone and basically in any language. Some other questions that come up here, and so certainly thanks for sending those questions. Things like group discussions. So yes, Streamer will caption everyone. You saw earlier, for example, that what Karen was saying was being captioned at the same time. And we didn't have Doug's up there displayed, but you will see that in the transcript. I think we're going to send you a copy of this transcript when it's done, just so that you can see it. Multiple people can speak at the same time. Multiple languages, and so Doug asked me to spend just a moment on this. And so with Streamer, certainly we can support multiple languages. So for example, if I want to bring up another screen, let me try and do this here. Again, you're just double clicking on desktop icons. In this case, I'll double click on a Spanish one. And when I do, it brought it up on my other monitor, but I'll drag it over here. And once it loads, so this is, for example, what a student would see on their end. And that's really hard to see with that font size, so I'm going to zoom in a bit. There, now you can probably see it. So what's happening here is on the left side is my screen. I'll hide the side panel. And you can see that everything that I'm saying in English is being captioned in English. And over here would be, for example, the student's screen. And in this particular case, I've set it up for Spanish. The language initially gets presented to that student in whatever language is being spoken. So in this case, in English. And then it gets quickly converted over to the language that you have selected. So if you have a situation where you have students or parents or coworkers or whatever it might be, and they would prefer to see and hear the captioning in Russian or Vietnamese or Somali or whatever it might be, they can do that. Everything that you say is going to be presented to them in their language, and when they respond, that's going to be presented to everybody else in their language. So this is complete United Nations type capabilities. Let me close this off because I think that gets a little confusing, a little too much data coming on the screen for everybody. And we'll go back to the slides here. But yes, this is very much a United Nations type capability in terms of language translation. And to that extent, the last trip I took before everybody was grounded here and quarantined in our various homes, is that I spent a week in Vienna and then a week in Geneva at the United Nations, where they did a thorough evaluation of automated translation systems compared with humans, so humans in the loop. And at the end of that week long plus the extra week in Geneva, they selected Streamer as the system that they are from now on going to be using for their conference proceedings. And so this is the United Nations Zero Project Assembly. And so it's a subset of the United Nations. But this is kind of the big deal. This is as big as you get when you're a automated captioning and translation company, that the United Nations went through a very thorough evaluation and analysis, and at the end of that concluded that the automated systems perform better than the human typists, and that Streamer is the best of those automated systems. So yeah, we're proud of that. It is kind of a nice thing. Note-taking. So in addition to being able to view a live captioning, again, in any language of what's being said, students also have the ability to create their own note categories and insert them into the live transcript. So let me show you how that works. So I'm going to show this side panel here. And in the bottom half here, let me make this bigger. There we go. In the bottom half here, what you see is these various phrases. In this case, I've only created 3. But a student or a coworker, whatever it might be, can create as many phrases as they want. And if you were, for example, a teacher and talking about a test that's coming up, the student could just double click on this note, and that's going to get inserted directly into their private copy of the transcript. So just like that, that's inserted in there. And now when the student goes to print or save that copy of the transcript, they'll see that tag. And so they have the ability to create their own notes and then insert them. So the way they create them, I'll show you this real quick and then just direct you to a video for more details. But on the account settings, what they'll do is open that up. And let me pull that window over. And they have a phrase section here. And this is where you can add phrases. So you have the title, or the label, the phrase itself, and then the categories. And with that, they have the ability to easily create their phrases and then just double click and they're going to get inserted. I mentioned double click. Certainly we also have this ability for single click. And so what that does is it places it down here in the command bar. And then I could type something. It's like ask Jim about this item. So that's a way of adding a note with a little bit of customization. So instead of being locked into whatever categories and phrases that you've entered, you can have a little bit of flexibility. And certainly I could type an entire note itself if I want to, but that takes time. And so now instead of focusing on what you're saying, I'm typing away. And so we like this ability to double click just to insert something. And then after that, it is again part of your transcript when you download it. So let's show you the downloading right now. So up here in the Streamer Settings menu, what I can do is click on Download Transcript. And when I do, it brings me up the time frame that I want to use in the format. So for example, if I want to use Word, then here's a nice little feature. This is the include a summary. And so what this is going to do is take the entire transcript, if we have an hour-long transcript or something like that, and it's going to summarize that into a short paragraph. So I can decide how long I want that to be. Typically, actually, I use the short. And when I do, I'm going to download that and save it somewhere on my computer. I guess I can save it to my desktop. And when I do that, now I have a copy of that transcript on my cluttered desktop. And with that, then I can open that up and be able to view the transcript itself, the notes that I have saved, along with let's see, where'd that go? Along with all the names of the people that are speaking. Let's see, what did I close that out? Well, let's launch it again. That's easy enough to do. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, I'm back again. Okay, get back to the slides here. So again, that's the note-taking in a nutshell. The ability to do that very quickly and to have that work for you. All right, let me let everything catch up here a second. My poor little computer is humming away here. I can hear the fan clicking in. So again, with saving transcripts, you have the ability to download that transcript with an automated summary of it. In addition to that, you have the ability to turn on or off the students feature of being able to do the download. So if you're uncomfortable,
Rod, sorry to interrupt. It's just the captioning is not coming up for the participants.
Is it there now?
I think so. Just if we can adjust the screen there. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's coming across. Let's see. Okay, let's keep going here because I guess we're seeing it right now. Okay, so again, with something's not going on right here.
Rob, that was picking up from my microphone. So it's your microphone that's not picking up.
Yeah, let's try and reopen this up here again. Yeah, I think I'm overloading my computer quite a bit here. The fan is running quite a bit. Yeah, I just have spinning dials here. So let me keep talking a little bit anyways. And that will catch up. Here it goes finally.
Yeah, I've never seen this happen.
Let's see if we're back now. No, my computer is still just humming away here. If I pulled up a control panel, you can see what's going on there. So let me just keep chatting here a little bit anyways. And we'll step you through this. And eventually it'll catch up here. So again, you have the ability to turn on and off students downloading. And so if you are uncomfortable with them downloading what you're saying, you can do that. And there we go. Okay, now with Streamer, what you can have is both open and closed captioning. Open captioning is when everyone sees it, both live and when viewing a recording. Closed captioning would be captioning that only the students that want to see it can do so. I think right now, by far, most people prefer the closed captioning side. Again, to configure your system, I'm going to step you through that. After you've done that process, to use it, you just click on your desktop icon, like I've been doing here in this particular webinar. Okay, so let's get you through the process of how to configure your system. This literally does take less than a minute. If you see the link there, that's the link that you would enter in order to create your own website. And so we're going to send you a copy of these slides. You don't have to write it down right now, but at the same time, you're welcome to do this right now while you're viewing this webinar. If you open that link, what you're going to see is a form to fill in. So that's all you need to do, create the website. Put your email address so that we can send you information on how to use your system, your login information and such, your name, first and last name. And then what we recommend is that for the name of your Streamer account, you use the name of your agency or school followed by -admin. It just makes things a little nice and consistent when you're using your capabilities. And then for the name of your first room, we recommend you use the name of your school followed by -01. Now, you can sign up for as many trials as you want, so this does not have to be done for your school or your business. So right now, you could create one just for yourself. There is no credit card needed or anything like this, and you're going to get a free 30 days to use this system. Again, no credit card, so at the end of 30 days, if you end up not wanting to use that system, it's just going to go away on you. It's not one of these deals where you have to remember to cancel before 30 days or your credit card gets charged. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a drink of water here real quick. Yeah, it's not like a situation where, excuse me.
We're having all sorts of communication issues today, aren't we? This is not a typical thing that happens when Rob and I give webinars. Are you all better now, Rob?
I'm not sure. My voice is pretty well shot. It's been a long week.
What about the captioning?
Yeah, let's give that a shot here again.
We have one person here who is hard of hearing, who is relying on the captioning.
All right, let's see if we're up on captioning again. We're getting yours across, but for some reason my computer is giving it a little bit of a hard time. So let's just go ahead and do it this way, Karen.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll keep that up. Okay, so let me rephrase this a little bit here. So what we're doing actually is captioning over on Karen's computer using my voice, but that's going to work. So again, create your own website, and you'll be able to do that. When you do that, your Streamer room includes, or your Streamer system includes your first Streamer room. And I'm going to talk about rooms here in the next slide. This is a concept that is kind of difficult for people to grasp. But what you have is a room where you can put as many people in that room as you want. You're paying a subscription for the room, not per user. Everybody is so conditioned to the idea that you have to pay a fee per user, because that's how most software companies do that. But that would be quite expensive. And so we make it much more affordable for you, where all you're doing is paying for a room. Now, again, we take privacy and security very seriously. And so each person that's going to access your room needs to have a user account. And that user account has a password associated with it. So there's none of these issues like Zoom where you just send out a URL link and all of a sudden people are jumping in that aren't supposed to be there. Here we are very tight. And so what you need to do is, excuse me, have that user account set up with a password. All right. User accounts are completely free. You can use as many, create as many as you want and add them to your rooms. Again, each room, think of that as a virtual classroom. And so if you're a teacher in a school, you have that physical classroom. Now we've created a virtual version of that. The students in your physical classroom just walk in through the door. with this virtual setup, instead of walking in through the door, what they're going to do is log in. They have a password in order to do that. So again, each user would have an account, so you could create an individual account for each of your students, as I've done here, or you can create a single shared account that all your students will use. But in all cases, the student is going to use the exact same process to enter your room every time. You do not need to send out an invite code or a separate URL or anything like that. Once you have set this up, on your end, you're just going to double click on your icon and it's going to place you in the room, and the students are going to do the same thing. This weekend, we're going to create a video specifically for students, showing them what they need to do to create their user account, and then how they'll get access to the room. And that'll be posted on the YouTube site this weekend, and we'll give you information and handouts to tell you how to do that. Okay, let's talk about user accounts. So we've talked about a room, which is just like your physical classroom, but now it's just in the virtual world. And you can have as many people enter that room again, and they will do that using a user account. Okay, user accounts can be a personal user account that you create just for yourself, or they can be a shared account that multiple people will use. I'm going to show you real quick here how to create a user account. Let me pull up a slide here, and we're going to log out of this, and I don't want to hide the, yeah, I guess you can see the captioning there, but this is going to be in Spanish. So let me move over here. There we go. Okay, so if you go to the Streamer website, this is what you'll see when you first get there. And when you click on the login button, what's going to come up is the login form. So if I want to create a new account, all I'm going to do is click on this Create One link. And when I do that, then I'll enter the name of the new user account. So that'd be kind of like the name of the student. So I could create one like Chris.Smith. Has to be a single word with no spaces. And so I tend to use the dot there. The email is only going to be used if the student forgets their password. And so we're not going to send out any instruction emails or advertising or anything like that. This is purely used if the student forgets their password. And so use an appropriate email setting there. The country, choose your desire. For example, in this case, I'm going to go with US English, but I could select whatever language that student prefers, Cambodian or something like this. The preferred voice is probably not going to be used by most of you. So this is for a student who is nonverbal, and it's also used in language translation situations. So if I'm saying something in English and it's going to be presented to another individual in Cambodian, it's going to be presented both in text and also spoken out loud using that preferred voice. So even though it's in Cambodian, it is going to be similar voice to what I'm using right now. Password just needs to be 8 characters or long, and that's it. Then you'll click on register, and that's as simple as it is to create an account. So it's not a real big deal to create these accounts, and they're completely free. You can create as many as you want. Again, one for each individual person participating in your captioning, or you could create a shared account that everybody's going to use. Takes about 30 seconds to create an account if you're not talking through the steps as you're doing it. Okay, once you've done that, the final step of configuring your system is to create that desktop icon. And so in order to do that, I can show you that real quick. You just come up here in your Chrome settings, go to More Tools, and then click on the Create shortcut. In my case, I already have one, so I won't create another one. But if I click to create here, then that is going to place that icon right on my desktop. And all I need to do from then on is double click, and I'll be inserted directly into the room. So a really nice way to do that. Again, you're going to spend some time configuring the system up front to all your security preferences, where you're allowing people to have access to your room. And once you've done that, then it's very simple to use. Closed captioning side, so some instructions here. I'm not going to read those right now. We're going to get you these handouts. And at the very bottom, there's a video that's probably about 5 minutes long that will take you through all the steps to set up a closed captioning system for your room. And so again, in interest of time, I won't show you that video or something like that, but you can watch that on your own. And it's roughly about 5 minutes, and it takes you through those steps. If you're doing closed captioning, we recommend that at the start of your session that you show a slide something like this, and we'll send you links on downloading these templates, and including how to create a picture of yourself with no background that you can put in the corner. But this is what a student would do if they need to log in and view the captioning in whatever language you want them to use. Same with open captioning, what you're seeing right now, open captioning, so everybody will be viewing this. If you're going to record your live stream and people are going to view it later on, this is a great option to use the open captioning approach. Same sort of steps here, just double click on the icon and you'll be placed in there, and then rearrange the windows. Maybe you want the captioning underneath like I've done it right now, or over on the side. Either way is going to work fine. Again, we're going to send you a copy of these slides, and you can look at that video if you want, which is, this one's a little bit shorter, I think probably about 3-4 minutes long. Talk a little bit details here, probably getting into more details than you want to know. But when you set up your Streamer website, remember that user account that you created was the admin account. With your admin account for your school or business, you are going to have the ability to see all the rooms that you have associated with your website. So if, for example, you're a school and you have 50 teachers that want to use this, you would probably have 50 different rooms on your school's website, each one assigned to a given teacher. Again, the admin account is going to be able to see all these rooms, and we give you some really nice features to help you manage that. Things like being able to broadcast a message to everyone using your website and all the accounts, things like that. You can set access and usage permissions that are going to be broadcast across your entire website, so all the teachers and students would follow that. So lots of features for the admin account. Each teacher then is probably going to have their own account. We recommend that. The teacher is only going to be able to see the rooms that they own, that they have access to. So they'll see their own room, and maybe if you have one room set up for other events or something like that. But again, they're going to only see their room. They're not going to see every other teacher's room. Again, we take security very seriously, so this is part of what we're doing here. So again, the teacher accounts will be able to do that. Teachers, again, have the ability for students to enter or kick them out if they want to. They can turn on or off the captioning ability for those students. And so if you're giving a lecture, you probably want that feature turned off. If you, on the other hand, are having a group discussion, you'd open it up. So now everything that the students are saying will be captioned, and you'd be able to see what student was saying what at any given moment. The student accounts then are only going to see the rooms they can use. So if a student has 7 teachers, they would probably see 7 rooms, and at a given hour, their time, they would just click on that room and enter it and view a captioning of what the teacher is saying. So again, a lot of configuring going on here up front. You're probably going to spend a good 30 minutes configuring the system, getting it to how you want it to behave for yourself. And once you've done that, just double click on the icon. So from then on, it's very easy to use this system. Let's talk about pricing. This is completely...
Wait, before we go there, Rob, let's just review a little bit, because I think a lot of people are struggling with how are we going to use the captioning by the classroom teachers right now. They're at home, they're trying to hold lessons with their students. Some of them are recording ahead of time, and then the kids have to view that PowerPoint and that webinar recording or that recorded webcast. Other ones are trying to hold school lessons live. In both cases, if the teacher's going to record a lesson, then she can do the open captioning like you see here, have her PowerPoint above, and it will already be captioned. It's not like anybody has to go back and add captions later. I think this is driving a lot of people crazy now. And then the other case, if she's holding live lessons for her class, she would have to then add each kid individually, provide that admin or use that admin capability and add each kid's name, Tom.Jones or whatever, so that when she when she presents and does a lecture, she can just set it to caption only. But like you said, if they're going to do a discussion period, she can then open it up and kids would then be able to respond. And that's how they would see who is speaking. And then when you had mentioned sharing an account, that would be good for, say, somebody who is really intending only to do a live presentation for a group without allowing that discussion, because they would not be able to see who is talking unless the teacher had gone through and added everybody. So for that English teacher that has 7 different classes, it's a lot to ask her to add each and every kid. There's a way to have it set up. But like Rob said, once you get it set up for a classroom, you don't need to go back in and do it again. The kids sign in the same way every time, and then the teacher just needs to know how to toggle back and forth between when she's captioning only and when she'll allow this back and forth discussion. So I just like to emphasize that part for educators and about remote learning. Thanks for your patience, Rob. Oh, can't hear you, Rob.
There we go. Hopefully everything's back. Yeah, let me, thanks for doing that. And let me get back to the pricing here, because we do want to go over that. Don't want to have any surprises for people. But this is the price that you pay, again, free for the first 4 weeks. And there's no credit card or anything like that. And so you're encouraged to sign up for a trial. And you can do that just for your own individual use. Perhaps you have elderly parents or something that are losing their hearing, and you want to use this to be able to caption phone calls that you have with them, whatever it might be. You're encouraged to do that. After that, to 4 weeks, then here's the price that you'll be paying. So $9.97 per month, or if you buy it on an annual basis, then it comes out to a little over $8 per month. And this is for unlimited use with an unlimited number of user accounts. So this is not a per minute, or I'm sorry, a per minute or a per session or a per user fee or anything like that. What you will get is that captioning room, and you are encouraged to share your room, your subscription, with as many people as you want. Now, if you're a school district, something like that, and you have, let's say, 4 different teachers giving a remote streaming lesson at the same time, so 4 different subject areas, 4 different physical rooms, then you would need 4 streamer rooms to support that. And so each room is going to support a single lecture or a single conversation that's happening at that moment. As many people as you want can be part of that conversation, but again, you're going to want a separate room for each simultaneous conversation that's occurring. There are discounts for multiple rooms, and so the more you order, the cheaper it becomes. And so if you're going to equip out an entire school with maybe 200 teachers or something like this, your price point is going to drop dramatically. So at that point, contact us, and we'll certainly get that set up for you. Again, equipping in an entire district, entire school building, very affordable, very affordable. 2 products that are coming soon, as in next week, maybe the week after, but you know, call it 10 days from now. This first one, Caption All, and that's going to give you the ability to caption any audio being played on your computer's speakers. And that's pretty neat. And so if you are somebody who is hard of hearing, right now you're giving yourself a high five, because this is awesome news. And so again, any audio that's going to be played on your computer speakers. So this could be a Zoom live stream like you're hearing right now, a YouTube video, a phone call, anything that's being played on your computer speakers is going to be instantly captioned in whatever language you want to hear and see it in. And so that's the Caption All module. That's probably about 10 days out. One that's coming a little bit faster than that is direct integration with Zoom meetings. And so it's a little complicated, but a lot of people have been asking for this. It's a whole lot easier just to double click on an icon and have it launched. But if you want to go through the extra effort, within Zoom, there's ability to use a token, an API token that you have to generate and enter. And with that, you'll be able to use Streamer to automatically caption that Zoom event. Right now, with that API token, pretty much have to hire a human transcriptionist and schedule that in advance, that sort of thing. There's some products out there, some automated products that are extremely expensive, to the tune of about, what do they say? They say a penny per second. But if you add that up, that comes out to probably a little over $6,000 per month if you were doing 5 days a week in terms of captioning, 8 hours a day. So yeah, $6,000 a month. If you start doing a penny per second, it adds up. And so in this case, certainly much more affordable than that. Some additional sources of information here. So there are some really nice video tutorials that Karen and her team have put together. These are very short. They're usually like 1 minute long, maybe 2 minutes long at the most, and very concise. So it isn't a big overview tutorial. It's a tutorial on how to create a desktop shortcut or how to connect an existing phonak microphone with Streamer. And so again, very concise and to the point and very short. And so it's a really nice way to be able to get those questions answered. Of course, there's a support page on the Streamer website as well. But again, it takes a little bit of extra effort to find those video tutorials. And so if you go to YouTube and do that search, that's really going to help you in terms of being able to get some of those questions answered. We're going to send you a copy of these slides. And so here's the contact information. And if you want to write it down, you can right now. But don't worry if you don't have a pen and pencil or take your phone and take a screenshot, whatever it might be, because we're going to get you that information. Let's see, Doug and Karen, how are we doing on time? Do we want to jump over to view your website, Karen, to show them the next steps of how to get going? Or
we have, how many minutes here?
Here, I'll pull it over here anyways.
If you want to have a quick look at that website, there's a lot of good questions that are coming in the chat here that I think I'll between Karen and I, we can get back, and then you or Karen can answer them. So we definitely want to get to those as well, Robert.
Right. So
yeah, and before you start talking there, Karen, I can stick around afterwards and I'll make sure to answer all the questions that you've added into the chat room. And so for those of you that can stick around, I'll make sure and do that. All right, let me get that captioning back here because I think I made the screen a little bit too big.
We ready? So this is Karen, even though I'm just showing up on the same captioning screen that Rob is showing up on. So what you see in front of you, this beautiful blue website, is supporting success for children with hearing loss. And we sell Streamer for all of the folks in education, K-12 and post-secondary situations. And it's very easy to find Streamer. You just go up where it says at the very top, it says Streamer Automated Captioning. Yep, I do have control, good. And you click on that, and we have several web pages specific to Streamer. We have, it pops into our general description web page, and it has some video links and such, general information. Purchasing Streamer is where most people will go, but I did want to point out we do have also a page about candidacy, specifically for when looking at providing an accommodation for a student with a hearing loss. Same thing for assessing benefit. So I'm going to go right now for purchasing Streamer. And here we go. We have 3 choices. We have the free trial, which Rob already showed you how to sign up for. You don't have to do it from the website. You can do a monthly subscription or an annual subscription for one person or one student, or you can do a block of 10 rooms and get that 10% discount, or you can contact us. We don't know how many rooms you want, and so instead of trying to include all of the various possibilities, if you really want quantities, let us know, and then we simply do the add to cart. if you are working with a student who is deaf or hard of hearing, you're really thinking about this for one student, and that student uses like a Rogers system, an FM system, or a DM, hearing assistance technology system, we certainly can integrate use of that child's teacher microphone. You don't need to get a different one. And then in terms of the microphones in general, they do not have to be expensive microphones, right, Rob? I mean, we use commonly microphones that are like $30, $20.
In my case, I'm wearing a $15 microphone, so yeah, it certainly does not have to be very expensive.
Right, as long as it has a good signal. I mean, if you get a Bluetooth wireless microphone and it just drops in and out all the time, it's not going to create good captioning. But my point was, I wanted to get down at the very bottom. If you have an FM system that you want to integrate that microphone, we have videos specifically for that. And here are the cables that they're going to describe in there. So I think I'm done with the website now. Let's go ahead and try and get to some of these questions. There's one about secondary students doing a class rotation. Typically they have 4 classes a day. We need to think about whether this is going to be used as an accommodation for one student. If so, they typically have it on their device that they carry from class to class, and then the teacher's microphone is used. Very similar to when an FM system is used. They carry the FM mic, give it to the teacher. This time they will also be able to look at captioning, so it just goes with them. If you're looking at accommodating a whole classroom of kids, then the teacher would have it on her computer, her media device, and then the children would be accessing her account or accessing her room by adding separate student accounts, or she would be sharing her account with the whole group. Jump in if you want to clarify anything I say here, Rob.
No, that was great. No, thanks. Yeah, appreciate that.
You've already talked about how this can be used with different live stream options. It doesn't have to only be Zoom. It can be used with pretty much anything else, because when we're looking at closed captioning, what the user would do is they would go to a streamer room. They would be looking at the captions separate from underneath the presentation. But if you wanted to use it open captioned, then there's a whole way to do that as well that Rob has also described. And we have a couple of fabulous videos that are only 6 minutes each that talk specifically about setting it up for closed captioning, and also another one for open captioning. In terms of purchasing, we will work with you to provide Streamer to you in the way that makes the most sense for your particular situation. We just need to think about it in terms of the number of rooms you would need for either that one student, or if you're talking about, again, whole classrooms. Can the captions or transcripts be edited? If you download the transcript as a Word document, it's like editing any other Word document. If you're looking at trying to edit a transcript when it's already been recorded as a webcast, it's like anything else. It's already set as a recording, so it can't be edited once it is saved as a completed recording. I'm just scanning through the different questions here.
There's one about recording a live presentation with the students. Can the students' names be hidden in the recording?
Yeah, so certainly you can do that. And so when you set up the accounts for the students, they could have their individual names if you want, or you could use what we call a shared account. And so that would be a generic name. So something like Greenvale-student. And so all that would be shown is that particular label versus the individual's name. And so yes, you can do that. It all depends on your security parameters and what you want to do with them. We give you all the tools to lock down and to a certain extent, open up that security. You always have to have a password and a user account, but again, the name of that account could be something generic versus specific to a student.
I suppose in that situation, the creative teacher could choose to set up each of her students with a number. And if they're old enough, they know that they're number 14 and or they have a cheat sheet. You probably wouldn't want to use initials or first names because if somebody's concerned about security, but there's probably a way to label kids so that people can tell that different folks are talking. It's not always the same person.
Yeah, no, you could certainly do that too. Yeah, it's a great idea. Thanks, Karen.
There was another question that, another question that had scrolled way off the screen here from David about, is there a way for the program to assist to recognize different topics, like the difference between religion and math class, and a way to help the system capture difficult to differentiate vocabulary?
Yeah, I can answer that one. I can jump in here a little bit. So you have well, let me be more precise here. So we have created the ability for you to add vocabulary to the system. So that's built into the code right now. But what's missing is that interface for you to access it. So again, that'll be coming soon. It's a tool called Composer, and with all the live streaming and the COVID stuff, we ended up pushing back the release date of that. So it's probably a good 3 weeks out. But 3 weeks from now, you will have the access to Composer, and with that, you will be able to have vocabulary specific to a given area. So if you're a math teacher versus a history teacher, you might have different vocabularies. And so you will be able to fine tune it for your particular situation.
In general, though, we've found that the streamer vocabulary itself is really robust.
Yeah,
Tons and tons of words, and it won't transcribe equations.
Yeah, I was going to get to that point, that from a math class, we're not going to put it up in equation form. We're going to put it up in word form. So a lot of people want math equations, which would be extremely difficult to do. And so, yeah, we don't pretend to do that. So it is just in a word presentation versus a mathematical formula presentation.
Okay, there's just a couple final questions here that we'll try and get through as we're coming to the close of the hour. A concern about instructors setting up the system where some instructors are resistant to having to do anything more in quotes. Can it be set up so that the only thing the instructor has to do is wear the microphone?
Well, the instructor is going to have to click on that desktop icon, and so that's pretty simple to do. But somebody has to do that setup for them then. So you as an admin could do that, and you would create the teacher's account, whatever it might be, and then the teacher one time would have to log in and create that desktop shortcut. So yes, somebody can do all that configuration, and once it's done, then the teacher is just going to double click on the icon, and everything being said will be captioned. But anybody can set that up. You do not have to have the teacher's computer to set it up. This is a website. So you could do it on your computer, and then the teacher would just use it on their computer. And again, we're not downloading or installing apps or anything like that. So that's why that becomes very easy to do.
So potentially the AT specialist can be setting up accounts for all of the teachers across the school board for the kids that need to have, let's say, that are deaf or hard of hearing and need this as an accommodation. Or for one building, if they've decided all 35 teachers are going to use it in the classroom, that one AT specialist can go through and set them all up in the same way. And then if the teacher wants something different and asks for it to be tweaked, then the AT specialist can go in and tweak it for them personally.
Okay. And someone is just making a comment here about weak Wi-Fi, intermittent signals in their class, in their institution, and whether the product would work. I think that basically boils back down to you need to be able to connect into the website, the streamer website, correct?
Yeah, you need to be able to connect into that streamer website for sure. We're just passing text. So we're not doing video. Right now in this Zoom meeting, we got all sorts of videos, and I think that's why my computer is hiccuping, because I've got so many little thumbnails open. But with Streamer, it is just data, but we do want a solid connection. So if I cringe a little bit at the intermittent part of that. We don't need a big fat pipe that's going to be able to push all sorts of huge volumes of data, but we really would like it to be a solid connection. And so that's something to consider. Yeah, it's something to consider. We are creating an offline version of Streamer, but that's a good at least 3 months to 4 months out in terms of being ready. That will not require any internet connection. But yeah, that's something to consider, that if you are going to be using Streamer, we want a reliable connection. Again, doesn't have to be very fast or handle, you know, huge volumes of data, but we really would like it to be a solid connection.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, somebody wrote in and asking about training the students so that they become experts with the technology. And you said that you're going to be coming up with a webinar, excuse me, not a webinar, a little short video specifically for students to step them through very simply how they access their Streamer room, right?
Yeah, that's right. You know, weekends are for making videos, as we say around here. It's a time we can catch up and not as many phone calls coming in and such. And so we'll be putting out 2 new videos this weekend. One, again, specifically for students. And so it's going to step a student through the process, or a coworker through a process of what they have to do to configure it. And it's not that difficult. Create an account is basically it, and create the shortcut. But we'll have a video specifically for that. And the other one that we're going to do that a lot of people have been requesting, so we're going to do it this weekend, is show you how to do language translation. And so we're going to step you through the process of how, if you want your webinar presented in 40 different languages or whatever it might be, you can do that. So those are the 2 videos that you'll see up on the YouTube channel come Monday.
Okay.
If you subscribe to that YouTube channel, then you'll get notified whenever a new one comes out. So
right.
that's my pitch for getting more subscribers to the YouTube site.
And as Rob said, we'll send you some links, and the link to the YouTube channel for Streamer is going to be part of those links. And there's quite a number of videos you can take advantage of. Thank you for having us, and thank you for taking the hour to learn a little bit more about Streamer. And we're happy to share the information with you. We certainly live in challenging times right now.
Yeah, and as you can see, this is a live demo. This is what you go through, though, as teachers. So certainly we appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today.
Yeah, Karen and Robert, I would like to thank both of you for taking that time and presenting this to us. And amongst all of the technical challenges that we were faced with, and hopefully you, Robert, are feeling better and get your voice back over the weekend as well. I hope you're not doing the voiceovers for those training videos. And hopefully that it's neither you nor your computer have a virus. So. The information you've shared with us here is invaluable for us as assistive technologists and some teachers and educators and IT people in the room are going to be able to take this information and go back and actually figure out how to implement this and have it as another tool in our toolbox, possibly being able to implement it through our schools and our institutions so that we can support the students that we work with, those students with disabilities primarily, but then causing it to expand out into the universal design world, which is where we'd like to see everybody end up anyways. So again, thank you both for your time today and for the information and presenting it. And just so that everybody is aware that we will be sending out the recording in the next few days, as well as with the transcript from the captioning that's been going on in the background. So hopefully if you've missed any of the captioning during the session, that it'll be there for us. And then we'll also have the slides included. So any final words from either you, Robert, or you, Karen?
No, thanks so much. I appreciate everybody joining us. Thanks again.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.